the task semantics first. And that means looking at the task objects as a first step. We're going to design the objects and then the actions in the task domain. There are lots of tools for designing task objects. There are a lot of strategies. And I think the simplest one is a short, unstructured menu of choices. We see that in a lot of applications, including our own website that I showed you. Let's take a look at one that starts with having that principle and also has linear structures as well. Here is an appropriate website for the World Wide Web Conference earlier this year. It's got an unstructured list of menu choices here. So it's okay. It tells me something about this conference. There are workshops, tutorials, technical papers, panels. It does give me a heading. It does give me a little graphic icon. And as you can see, as John's zooming in here, the right-hand side of the screen is pretty blank. That's, I think, one of the failures in many systems. Wasted space like that. Dead air time. Dead screen space. Look for that and reconsider whether you want your screens to have that much blank space. Sure, I know some monitors are narrow, but I think this kind of layout, which I find all too common, is a poor use of the space. Half the screen is the logo, and then we've got about 10 items, 10 branching out factor. This site has a fair amount of branching out. So let's click on Technical Papers, and if I click on Technical Papers, I get good news, Technical Papers. That's very important. Just look at the websites out there. How often do you click on something and you get something you have no idea how they're connected? On the other hand, do we have any idea what conference we're still at? We lost the logo that said World Wide Web Conference. A good idea is shrink the logo at the second level of menus. You know your context, and you've got an example of where you are. Within the technical papers, we now have a second strategy, which is a linear orientation, which is by the conference, okay? By the sessions. They're organized in a pattern that makes some sense. Here, we get fairly low fan out. We don't get a lot. And when we go to click on one of these, click on this, I think I get this one, Living Documents. I go into it, and I get the paper. Instead of paper proceedings, I get paper session. The logo is now curiously restored in this environment. And if I click, whoops, if I click to the next one, I'll get, oh, there's the Living Documents. I'm sorry, I got the set there. But you do get the details about the documents. So there's a good structure, a hierarchical structure here, but the low fan out means I have to go through lots of layers, go back up and go back down in order to get a good overview and get the details. I think you want to have a higher branching factor in those cases. Now let's look at an example I really like, which is Yahoo. This exemplifies many good things. There are, in this screen, I think, a well-organized catalog. There are, on the top and the bottom, 13 buttons which help you navigate and give you sort of basic concepts of the system. Then there's a search box here, which I might have put further down on the page. But then the key to it is 14 sections with 53 subcategories. This is what I would call a two-level menu, a very good idea in website design. Not only do the second-level menu items, like under arts, we see literature, photography, and architecture. Those second levels allow me a better definition of the first-level item, and they provide a shortcut for the knowledgeable user and the frequent user. Great idea. Does this seem cluttered? Not at all. Seems well organized, yet 83 buttons on this single screen, and generally well designed to fit more or less within a window of a typical personal computer. Okay, there are other structures that we may want to look at. Arrays or tabular strategies. In the American Airlines AMR system, you specify departure city, arrival city, and the date. It's sort of like a three-dimensional array, and then up pops a page with all the flights for that day and that departure arrival city Nice approach to it. In the NASA systems, we also have grid strategy of latitude and longitude with time. You enter those and you may get a set of image data that is available for you. Hierarchies are another typical strategy of working your way down about a continent, country, county, city, and so on. Multiple trees, I think, are one of the gifts of the web, and I'd like to see more of that, what librarians call faceted retrieval. You may have a photo, and you may go through a hierarchy based on dates, names of photographers or kinds of photographers, location, the topics, the media. Same thing for music. There may be multiple hierarchies, and I think that's a very good way to organize information on computers. Because whereas on paper, if you have a course catalog that's organized with the course information by one hierarchy, having a second hierarchy doubles the size of your document. Not acceptable. On the screen, not a problem. So having multiple hierarchies, I think, is a good idea. Having richer networks, like journal citations, genealogies, or the web itself, does invite more complex and dangerous searching. It can be confusing for users. All right.